Hello, I haven't casted that many games, but I thought this game would be absolutely an amazing game to start with. So, this is Zuppi in red, playing against Barles in blue, Barles being Malay and Zuppi being Slavs. See if I can start this capture age. Yes. So, starting with Zuppi's map, very advantageous as you can see. He has a secondary back gold, main gold also quite back. This is basically everything you would want from your map. You don't have all the resources in one place over here. You have plenty of backwood. It's relatively easily wallable, except maybe this part is quite open. But the main point, like I said, is you don't have all the resources at the same place. You have quite a safe, very safe gold here in the back. Main gold is quite in the back. And the same cannot be said for Barles here. This is probably one of the most awful maps I have ever seen for anyone. First of all, absolutely 100% of his secondary gold piles are front. This is basically as bad as it gets in front of the woodline. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, look at his woodlines. This is absolutely atrocious map for Barles. Now, this game is one of the most amazing games to me I have ever seen, which is why I'm choosing to cast it. Hopefully you will also realize yourself why I think so, as this game will go, and I will talk also a bit more about it when the game is over. Hope this game is not slow speed, normal speed, so it should be fine. But early on, nothing remarkable, pretty flawless. Zuppi is regarded by many to be, well, at the very least, at the top 50 players of all time. He has been playing for about 20 years, so Zuppi is a veteran player. And at the time of this game, when it was played, Zuppi was about 2300 ELO, and Barles was about exactly 100 ELO superior than that ELO. He was 2400 ELO. And what I really, and you see here a bit of an omen of what's to come for Zuppi, for as much of how extremely fantastical start regarding the map you get. Barles has surely noticed that he is in the opposite position, and what I find really remarkable on such a top level of Age of Empires 2 gameplay is the decision making which prompt these players. So I can only conclude that from this map, and it's a very logical conclusion, like you really have to do something from your own part to be able to compensate for a really bad map. Like you don't have anything to safely fall back to, unlike Zuppi. And that really warrants quite more aggressive play. And that's what we're seeing from here. Before even 7 minutes has passed, Barles will put forward to militia. He still has a scout here running about. And Zuppi hasn't really pulled anything. I mean, I'm not sure who of us would have done it by 7 minutes, certainly not me. But But let's see what happens. We also have the third militia going. Okay, some quick walls from Zuppi. That woman is relatively safe to begin with, but this is 4 villagers here. And this is really... Scout low. Barles scout died. That's 1 villager down from Zuppi. And he deleted that quick wall to come down. 2 villagers. 3 villagers. Three villagers down from Zuppi. So Zuppi lost 3 villagers in Dark Age to a rush before even 10 minutes has passed. And apparently he lost 4 villagers, apparently, says the stats. I don't know where I didn't see the 4th one, but apparently, so Zuppi has now lost 4 villagers in the Dark Age before 10 minutes. And I watched this game live, I watched him play it, and I was so amazed. I would be tilted so hard. Imagine you are playing against an opponent 100 elo higher than you, and you lose 4 villagers. Well, about 25% of your entire workforce in the Dark Age before even 10 minutes has passed. I think most of us would tilt quite hard, if not even throw in the towel already. But Zuppi, and this of course really shows on his experience as a player. Immediately he calculates, okay, now just like Barles had to do something to make up for his bad position, now Zuppi has to do exactly the same. Zuppi is now in a very, very bad position. Barles hasn't lost any villagers, Zuppi has lost 4 villagers this early in the game. That can be extremely damaging, of course. It is extremely damaging. And Zuppi immediately counters by doing his best to take advantage of Barles' extremely horrible map. This attempt to tower this main gold initially failed, and Barles very rightly tried and succeeded to keep it safe. Because if Barles would have lost this 1 gold, it would basically already be over. So this is really high stakes for both players here. Zuppi has extreme pressure on him to do something quickly in order to make up for 4 lost villagers in the Dark Age before 10 minutes. And Barles is also in a similar position, but for different reasons. Barles has still not lost a single villager, but as we know, this incredibly poor map, this gold is the only gold you have, and if the enemy denies it, well, you're quite toast, because good luck securing these when the enemy is already in your face here. And Zuppi succeeds to tower off this first wood line, and Barles is forced onto the stragglers. And already we're seeing quite an amount of idle time, 15 minutes idle time, which is interestingly the same amount which even the total duration of this game so far. And he is forced to put all of his wood villagers to this very far, and this is the second closest wood line for Barles, the second closest wood line. Okay, this one is technically, but as you can see, for obvious reasons, this one is not really a good one to go to. Barles counters the infantry with their counter archers to begin with. He has dropped down an archer range here in the back. Zuppi is doing a second attempt to deny Barles' one and only gold, and understandably Barles is... Oh, will he lose one? No. And this is also a recurring thing we see in games when you are really being pushed, that you often do. Of course, you always do as much as you can to repel the push by the enemy at home, but at the same time, you come to the conclusion, if I can't do anything valuable with my military here at home, maybe I can deal some damage to the enemy by putting my military to use and do the same thing that the military does, which is do some raiding, which is what Barles has decided to try to do. Fortunately for Zuppi has been able to fend it off quite neatly, and Zuppi is still not down any more villagers further than those first. Oh well, now he lost one villager. I missed where that happened. Did that just happen? Might lose a sixth as well. Looks like it. 6 villagers. So now Zuppi is down 6 villagers before 20 minutes of the game, and Barles is still down 0 villagers. Barles hasn't lost a single villager, but the thing we need to take into account to acknowledge that Zuppi has indeed really done some damage to Barles as well is not only is this incredible map control. As of yet, he doesn't. Well, that's really a border case. He is just ranging half of this gold. That's maybe a small part of this gold is after. So indeed, very incredible map control from Zuppi already, denying one wood line, forcing Barles to go very far away from the town center. This is quite a long walking distance, at least from the creation from the villagers to get to this area, forcing down towers. And luckily, small comfort for Barles is this one secondary stone pile, which he does have safe. Zuppi does not let his foot off the gas. Understandably, there's no reason to let your foot off the gas if you're not forced to do so. And he will make further attempts to assert as much map control as humanly possible. And Zuppi continues to try to do the same thing, basically ignoring this initial secured map control from Zuppi and figuring that the best chance he has to deal some damage to his opponent is trying to counter raid, which is what he will continue to try to do with these 5 archers. And by now Zuppi has put down an archer range himself, actually forward. And this is also an interesting turn of events because this is interesting because this is an example we can say of how map control can be a double-edged sword, because there is a lot of map for you to control, and there are pros and cons about putting your production facility forward. Well, this is as forward as it gets. This is basically in the opponent's face near their town center. And Zuppi doing some really good work here. Basically, just at the brink of succeeding of denying Barles of all wood. And that's not even 25 minutes of the game has gone yet. So it's really quite remarkable. And looks like Barles is trying finally to regain the Forsaken 3 remaining unsecured tiles of his only gold pile he has control of. Of course, as of yet, no player is using any more than 1 gold pile, but you really want to play for the long term as well as for the short term. But we also have to recurringly note and look at that. And this is also, I can't believe, Barles has still not lost, I suspect this will change soon, but Barles has still lost 0 villagers. But here's the thing I was just about to say. This is the very, except for the, besides the very tangible map control Zuppi is succeeding to assert, we now have just past 1 hour of villager idle time for Barles. And we just hit 25 minutes of the game duration. So these villagers, they of course are forced to garrison these towers. Of course, while I have established in a earlier video on idle time, an idle villager has the exact same gather and build rate as dead villagers. However, the one pro of idle villagers, which dead villagers don't have, is, well, they can't return to work. So if there will be situations where you are forced to choose, do you want dead villagers or do you want idle villagers? And I would say if those are the only 2 options you have in a given situation, you would rather want idle villagers than dead villagers. You can't salvage dead villagers. And the HP of these villagers is going quite lower and lower, and I think we just saw the premiere of... Yes, now Barles has lost 3 villagers. So now Barles is starting to lose some villagers as well. And Zuppi is he is just in complete control. Just casually patrolling in the middle of Barles' base. And this is just another thing which is quite tangible, I would say almost throughout the entire game, but Barles has more villagers than he's had the entire game so far. And this you can also see from the town center idle time. Zuppi has been also behind in town center idle time for most of the game, I think. And that on top of the fact that Barles has killed off more of Zuppi's villagers than vice versa, shows to why Barles still has an 11 villager lead, which is also quite, on paper, it's quite an advantage this early in the game still. Of course, it's not too early anymore, 29 minutes, but he has had quite the villager lead ever since minute 8 in Dark Age. Barles still attempting some counter raids. I'm just drinking some coffee. I have to slightly apologize for speaking so slowly, probably because it's in the middle of the morning and I have to do this casting now because the update is launching today, and after the update the rec will be basically corrupt. I can't watch it anymore. And this is also fun. We have an offensive battle elephant. This can be really quite terrifying early in the game when you don't have much counters to such a strong and population efficient unit. Of course, shouldn't be too much of a problem now when Zuppi has the knights out. I really like this with Capture Age, that you can see the connection between which unit is being converted. And Barles chooses to rather delete that battle elephant than let it go to Zuppi. But these skirmishes shouldn't be too much of a problem. They don't even have both of the armor upgrades. So the battle elephant should clean them up nicely, and at the very least chase them off, which it is doing. Barles has now managed to completely solidify the map control of his 1 and increasingly faded gold pile of now only 4 tiles. This will soon run out. And Barles has been able to just keep on to these two precious distant wood lines. Zuppi has lost this tower, still denying this first wood line. And Zuppi is just holding on. This is so impressive to me. It's like I said in the beginning, it's probably one of the most inspirational games I have ever seen, or inspiring to me, because it's required such an incredible balance of control of so many different aspects of the game. And Zuppi is completely open and home when regarding walls. So indeed, in that regard, you are quite vulnerable to counter raids. Barles investing into guard tower upgrade. So it requires quite a bit of should I say micromanagement, going back and forth to impart you trying to assert the map control you want to push the enemy, and then at the same time repel any counter raids. Barles is slowly clawing his way back into the game and still maintaining well over a 10 villager lead. But look at the idle time, villager idle time for Barles. It's more than twice as much idle time as for Zuppi. That means for any villager of Barles during this game so far, what they have done, what value they have given Barles back on his 50 food per villager investment, Zuppi's villagers have delivered to Zuppi twice as much for the very same investment. And that's of course an example you can point to as consequences of what happens if you are exposed to quite a lot of idle time. Barles putting down quite a lot of towers here. Indeed, we have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 towers. So that this is more stone than a castle cost. So Barles has put down what little working villager time he has had. He has put down into investing of more than a castle's worth of stone into towers. And there's not much more he has been able to put into military so far, due to having so many villagers idle. But it looks indeed a bit more promising for Barles now. He's slowly clawing his way back, securing more map control with additional town centers. Still only has 1 gold. Very important to remember relics as well, and of course Zuppi is not forgetting them. And now the villager counts have evened out, and we're 40 minutes into the game, but I didn't mention it at this time, but I remember that at some point during this game Barles had a 12 villager lead quite early into the game. You may have noticed if I didn't mention if you paid attention at that particular point. But a 12 villager lead as early as around 25 minutes into the game, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And Zuppi has been able to completely compensate for it by causing for Barles now almost 3 times as much idle time. for his opponent than he himself has so far. And of course, Zuppi wants to just assert as much map control as he viably can to try to put the nail in the coffin. And I think the title of this video, this casted game, I will probably name Reverse Snowball. This is a phrase I thought of when considering what a title I should put on the video for casting this game. I don't think I've heard anyone use that phrase before, Reverse Snowball, but this is such a, to me, textbook example of an incredible high-level game when someone is able to pull off a Titanic into a masterpiece. Simply put, just that. And quite a battle here. Barles, for obvious reasons, really wants to get this castle down and at least secure just one more gold pile. This is the one more gold pile he gets, and he is on one tile left now on his main gold pile. And he's losing a lot now. Now the villager deaths are nowhere near the state they were in the beginning of the game. Now Barles has lost 24 villagers, and Zuppi has only lost 7 villagers. That's quite interesting. I'm not sure what causes that discrepancy. It says Barles has killed 8 villagers, but it says Zuppi has lost 7 villagers. I don't know if there's some conversion involved with that or what it is, but that's interesting. But Barles is losing much in trying to get this castle down. But I think it is safe to say if he doesn't get this castle down, the game will indeed be lost, because there's only so much you can do with one gold pile when your opponent has control of the entire rest of the map. Barles finally gets this castle up, and Zuppi has already had a castle up here. And this is absolutely devastating for Barles, because Zuppi is up on a hill. So on top of getting out Trebs first, to be first getting out Trebs to start the Treb war, Zuppi will be dealing 25% bonus damage with this Treb, because this Treb is on a hill. So this is incredibly advantageous to Zuppi. This is as bad as a map as it gets. That's worth being repeated. And Barles' neat projectiles, having invested into chemistry, having all the offensive ranged upgrades now at 6+4 for his arbalists. And this is quite amusing. 3 town centers. Oh yes, here's a neutral 3-tile gold. This is the only gold Barles now has. Well, there's not much control here now with the cavaliers with full armor upgrades roaming about. But how often do you see this? 3 town center on basically this one same place for this tiny little wood line and 3-tile gold. And that just speaks to how incredible powerful map control Zuppi has been able to assert. I remember watching this live, and I just loved how Zuppi just noticed this, and he said, "Would be a shame if someone were to put the castle down here." It's just so... And then he just calmly went ahead and did just that. And this, as you might guess, on top of also this cavalry raid, would indeed be the nail in the coffin. This is also part of the nail in the coffin I mentioned earlier. Barles not managing to get that castle down. And there's just like, what can Barles do now? He can desperately get some halberdiers out, but at this stage, there's just not much I can see happening. First of all, with 3 dangerously fast disappearing barracks, you don't have enough production facilities to pump out fast enough, for one. And for the second fact, Barles wouldn't, even if Barles had 10 barracks in the back, he does not have anywhere near enough resources or income to sustain such a production. And Barles calls the GG. So that was the game. And I will leave links in the description to, if it still exists, the VOD to this game, so you can watch if you want Zuppi play this from his POV. I don't think he has uploaded it to his YouTube. I actually have his POV saved, so if he hasn't yet, I will kindly ask if he would consider doing this, because I absolutely loved this game. And it's just my amazement can be summed up in how I expressed myself earlier. Like, imagine if we put ourselves in Zuppi's shoes early in the Dark Age. And Zuppi has played a lot against Barles, and he said after the game that he usually wins against Barles. So of course Zuppi probably has more of a more perspective than simply this is an opponent 100 elo higher than Zuppi. Of course, elo is not absolutely not everything in the world, and it matters even less if you've been playing for 20 years and you even have quite a good knowledge of who the players out there are around your level. So, but it still never ceases to amaze me, and it's closing on to a month ago now. I saw this game, and being in the Dark Age before 10 minutes, losing 3 villagers to a rush at least, who you could witness. And how do you not tilt? How do you not just instantly tap out GG? Like that's amazing. And I should have checked Zuppi's POV. I remember checking it earlier and I don't think Zuppi. I don't say too much, but it's not also self-evident if the players themselves know. Of course, the players at the time of playing, they don't know everything. We see everything as a spectator, but you would have to find out that your opponent has a bad map as well. Like, it's not going to be evident to you as soon as the game starts, as it is to us spectators. So this is such an amazing mastery of so many factors of this complex game that Zuppi masters. So yeah, I could go on and on, but I'm gonna stop talking now and let you enjoy the rest of your day or evening or whatever time it is for you. Now, of course, let me show you the stats. Okay, before I forget. So yeah, the KD, nothing too much remarkable, but returning marker of this game was Zuppi had quite a much more amazing larger military population than Barles, and vice versa situation for villager population. Barles had many more villagers throughout the game, except in the very end. But because of such a large, incredibly significant idle time that Zuppi was able to cause to Barles, plus the map control. So this is really a game that shows you what you can accomplish with incredible map control, among other things. And Barles also even managing to get a relic despite everything. So very incredible gameplay from both players here. Alright, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and tell me how you like this. It's probably much more slower paced than my scripted videos where I'm able to talk quite fast. But if you would like to see more casted games like this, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll see to it that I cast a few more video games in the future of games I think are really interesting. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.